and I don't know.
Hello everybody, we are here at Empodera Live with Ndaba Mandela, who is the grandson of Nelson Mandela, but he's also the co-founder of a foundation called Africa Rising. What is the matter? What is the subject of Africa Rising?
The main subject matter of Africa Rising is changing the image of Africa. The image of Africa presented by international media is not the right image. So we ask ourselves, how do we change this image of Africa? How do Africans own the narrative that exists on Africa? We need to tell more African stories by African people. However, we are up against the international world, so we need to create our own platforms where the world can engage with us and find out what really is happening on the African continent. And we felt that the best way to change the image of Africa would be through educating our youth, so that when they engage with the young people who travel, when they travel themselves, they can talk about Africa with a certain level of pride and confidence about being an African and know what it means to be an African.
Also, I have seen some other interviews that people has made you. You talk about proud to be African, the importance for the Africans to be proud of themselves and their country.
Yes.
Could you talk me about it, and how do you plan, or how would you like to make it happen?
Well, there are many reasons why one should be proud to be an African. For example, I don't believe anyone has more rhythm than African people. I don't believe anyone has such a deep history like the African people do. Our history really is the cornerstone of humanity. Civilization began in Africa. So there's a huge value of where Africa began and where humanity began. When you talk about society, when you talk about the community and how we communicate with each other, this is all from African origins. And in today's world, we talk about culture, we talk about the soft power, we talk about fashion, design, and music, how we express ourselves. This is all really a cornerstone of African culture. This is why we should be proud of being African. Not to mention that we are the most physically powerful people on this earth. The Europeans chose to use African slaves because when they tried to use the Asian people were not able to make the journey and still make the work that they did in those cotton fields, for example. And so the African people were able to withstand those disgusting, poor conditions on those ships. And not only were they able to make them, but also be able to become some of the best workers in the field. So you can see today the 100-meter runner has always been an African person. When it comes to athletics, when it comes to any kind of sport, the African people have always been more dominant than any other. But now we are in an age of economic transformation, and this is the key. This is now the next evolution for the African people, and this is what we're fighting for.
And what are the next challenge that you have for Africa Rising, but also for Africa?
Well, it's the economy. It's the economy. If you look at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, 99% is still owned by the white European settlers who came many years ago. And we are now trying to grapple, how do we create a more equal society where African people have equal opportunities to create wealth. Not to become rich, but to create wealth that will last over generations. This is our challenge that we're facing today.
What do you think that is the way to achieve that?
Well, there's a number of different ways in which one can, obviously through education. Education is a very important, very powerful tool that we can use. And there's a number of ways one can be educated, traditionally, digitally. There's a number of strategies that we're grappling with in that front. But ultimately, we also feel that it's also important for one to be equipped with the necessary skills of the 21st century that will allow our countries, our nations to grow. You talk about infrastructure development. You talk about the need for technical skills. This is some of the skills that is needed for us to be able to grow our economy.
So I'm sure that the African people have a lot of work, but what can do also the people from the Western world?
The Western world, possess technology, machinery, experience and skills in terms of farming, in terms of financial services, in terms of family planning. So what we can do with the European people is enter partnerships where people can mutually benefit from these partnerships. Right now, if you look at the European economies, it's a very depressed economy. There's no growth in the economy, and they're all looking to Africa because Africa has the youngest population on the earth right now. And so, through this partnership, being able to come to Africa, run your business, establish your business, grow your base, but don't just grow your base, also train and skill the young Africans in that process so that they can also be able to establish their own businesses and understand the intrinsic value of creating good products and services that will benefit their people.
So in the end, is the education the key?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's my time. Thank you so much for this interview. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Where you sleep, where you go, so I can't help but think how sweet it'd be. I'm your wilting rose.